Welcome back to Horse Racing Today with yours truly at HRT Rich on X. And of course, to my right on the screen, but to my left is 22-1 Thomas, coming off of a fun week last week at the Royal Ascot where the Irish horses dominated. So we figured, you know what? Let's just stick with the Irish horses since that works so well. And we're going to the Curragh today.
We are, and they're running right now. They're on the third race. They're just finishing loading right now for this group. First two races were 2-year-olds and no distinct bias. They ran on the near side of the first race at the 6 furlong mark, and then 7 furlongs they went on the far side. And Buttons, that second race was a little more interesting in the two horses that were at top.
What's up, Mr. Jared?
Very good. Looks like they're going to be two very good horses.
Some good talents coming out.
Lake Victoria won it, and Red Letter was the ran second. But they are, they're well bred, and they look like they're ready for much more bigger things to come
down the line.
This one is going to run. It's another 7 furlong race. So we're going to go on the far side again.
Well, the track is listed as good, if I remember correctly.
It's definitely good today.
And it's expected to be good on Saturday as well as Sunday, because Tom and I are going to cover races on both days. Of course, every day we cover races at Guaranteed Tip Sheet here in the States. Today's free track is Penn National. You can get that tonight by the link down in the description below. I don't know where it is. I thought I made it free. I guess I'm going to have to go back and redo that one. But Penn National will be the free
track. That'll teach you.
Well, every now and then I guess I mess something up. So I'll go about fixing that, folks. And then, of course, you can get that at Guaranteed Tip Sheet. That's a link in the description below. And then also when our show is over, later on tonight, I'll post our comments as well as a replay of the show at horseracingtoday.net, like we do with the Monday through Thursday U.S. tracks. While you're there, kindly click on that HRT gear link. 3 days left to get some free shipping. 3 days left to get some gear that will make you look great at the track that you can't get anywhere else. Yeah, we crushed Royal Ascot last week. A couple of $250 exactas on the 5 days of racing. We'll take that, right, Tom?
Absolutely.
I don't know that we're going to get anything like that at the Curragh starting on Saturday, tomorrow, or today, depending upon you're watching, or yesterday if you're watching on Sunday. The first race is the 6 furlong Airlie Stud Stakes. Tom, just filling me up with these 2-year-old fillies with 1 or 2 races to their credit, and then of course not a whole lot of information. So making it as challenging as possible, Tom. At 6 furlongs at the track, they're going to start down here with a slight rise, a little bit of a slight turn, a slight fall, level, slight rise. You mentioned that they're running all over the track and finding no bias.
At the moment now, this last race has just finished. They went to the far side, and speed didn't hold, and doesn't appear it's going to. Another closer, and that's been the case today and the 3 races.
So closers, that's what we're looking for. And then we're going to also look for some picks here in this first spot here. This one is a field, what is it, 9 horses, 10 horses?
10.
Looks like there's a couple that might be favored in here, Thomas. You're not known for picking favorites, so who did you pick first?
I started with number 1, American Bar. Draw number 9. She blew the start and won anyways last time out. She was a favorite in that race, and the jockey's comments were positive. Everything that could have gone wrong went right. They still won the race, which is pretty amazing, especially for a 2-year-old. And she's definitely going to be a sprinter. The breeding says sprint all the way, and I think she's going to run a better race today, or tomorrow, I should say. Number 8, January, with draw 10 is going to be my next choice. She won by a head in her last start, but as the 1-2 favorite. And then before that, she ran second to Heaven's Gate in her first start. One of the comments that I read, and then I watched one of the races, they said both races she was a bit green in both those races. And she was a bit green in her win when she finished, when she made the lead. looking around, maybe not paying attention, or looking and they straightened her out. I mean, she's still learning. I mean, obviously a 2-year-old, but I'm thinking she's going to improve off that. And they did a little work at home. Hopefully they will.
Mm-hmm.
Finally, my final pick will be number 2, Barnavara, the draw 1. She was, now you want to watch keen. She was way too keen in her race at Naz in the Group 3 race she ran. She ran 4th in that one by 2 3/4 lengths. But she ran against Fairy Godmother. She did okay at Royal Ascot, so that race may be a pretty good race. She won her maiden by 4 lengths, and that was on the soft going at the Curragh. They were going to run her at Royal Ascot, decided to put her in here. That should always be a little revealing. They think maybe probably have a little better chance here.
Yeah, I would suspect that would be the rationale behind that. I'm going to start off. I don't know how we ended up. How many? 9 or 10 horses in this field? I think we ended up with 7 different horses. That's what happens with 2-year-olds, right? It's not by design. I'm going to go with number 3, California Dreamer. It does get a tip, so now that number has doubled. This one so far, at least in my viewpoint, looking through the past performances, competed admirably against better competition than what it's getting here. But some of these horses may be better than we know so far in only their second, first, third starts, really lightly raced crew. Fiery Lucy is next up for me as my second choice in here, now getting its first tip. If you look at the race figures from last start, this horse ran a big one, and it wasn't close relative to anything else in this field. Number 5, Easy Mover, my third choice in here, Thomas. This horse, if you're just looking at the times, the fractions, the 6 furlong time is tops by a decent margin for this field. And I know the tracks are all a little bit different with undulations and turns and everything else, but still enough seconds to be 2, 3, 4, 5 lengths quicker than anything anybody else has run so far. And then finally, number 9, Truly Enchanting. This is a Ryan Moore, Aidan O'Brien horse. Did try her luck in the grade 2 at Ascot last out. So maybe the horse can live up to what they think it is in this spot right here. We'll see if the predictor has, well, between us, we have to have some horses. We have 7 of 10. So.
I would hope if we don't have any, then we're really in trouble.
So Truly Enchanting, then Easy Mover. January, that was one I was thinking about too. Barnavara, I was thinking about that one. Cradle of Love, the only horse that you and I don't have. So folks, just take out your highlighter right now. Circle that one, Cradle of Love, because we have every other horse in here except that 25-1 shot. And basically the predictor is telling you which one to play. At least that's the way I see it. Next up on our Saturday race card is going to be race number 4 in the books. This one is the Basti Equiworld Dubai International Stakes. This one's 1 mile and 2 furlongs, or as we call it in the U.S., 1.25 miles. Looking at 1.25 miles on the track here, it looks like they're going to start back here. I got a little bit of a weird turn down through here, Thomas. How does this turn impact the race?
Mainly by if you get a little bit in the draw, and I think with the speed not holding, it'll really see where the closers tuck in will really be the factor here on who can close and win.
So once again, we're looking for closers
I think so, yes.
All right. Well, who do you think is going to be the one with the most late kick, enough to get to the line and then to the winner's enclosure?
Yeah, I'm going to take number 7, Jan Bergerwell. Has draw 2. Aidan O'Brien's comments about this horse are really interesting. He refers to him as a very complex horse. He's taken time, but he feels strongly that it'll turn into a good horse. Well, he generally runs these horses when they're younger. This was a 3-year-old when he won his maiden in May, and he won that by 8 lengths, going 10 furlongs on the good going. The comment from the track observer was promising. Well, placement in a Group 3 at 1.25 miles really makes sense because this horse is actually bred to go farther. It's 1.5 miles or longer. Who knows at this point? But a very obviously late developing in terms of Aiden's style, but they're being patient. That means a lot. Number 2, Bolster, is going to be my next choice with draw 6. One is his first 2 starts, one in 2022 and one in June of 2023, and then sucked. He went to Royal Ascot, got beaten badly, and then went to Newmarket, and that wasn't much better. So he came back after a layoff. First race was in April, and he won both his starts. And they were both at the Class 2 level, so he's going to move up a little bit here. They're shipping him for this race to get some black type, and I think this is a good place to do it for him. Finally, number 3, Chazamia is going to be my final choice with draw 7. His last race was perfectly excused to be run lousy effort, to say the least. Guess what happened? Did you read the notes?
I probably did, but
a rival jockey hit the horse in the nose.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Well, I don't care if you got hit and you're running. Are you going to want to continue to?
I didn't know Irad rode over there.
Nah. Yeah, right. For that Class 2 race, a handicap at Doncaster, this horse ran 5th as the favorite, but he also came back lame. So he's had some problems. He won his first start at the Curragh by a length, which kind of reason why I put him in there. It's an obvious class rise here throughout that last race for sure. And I think he'll have a chance to hit the board.
Of course, I joke, Irad, if you're watching, we know you wouldn't hit the other horse in the nose with the whip. You would just hit the jockey. All right. 14 horses so far, Tom, picked between you and me, and we agree on 1. What does that tell you about this card on Saturday?
It's pretty wide open.
The one we agree on is Jan Bruegel. That is you're going to be your favorite. It looks like a pretty heavy favorite. And I think, like you said, deservedly. And I think the insight you provided there, Tom, how Aidan O'Brien works with his horses is one of the reasons why you should continue to watch Foreign Fridays. Tom brings a wealth of knowledge all stored up in the cabeza there from experience that you're just not going to get anywhere else. But anyway, just from my experience from watching horse races, never mind that knowledge bank of international stuff, any improvement off of its debut, and that's more than enough for Jan Bruegel to go 2-0, although sometimes the second race could be a little bit of a disappointment. If so, I'm going to go with a little bit of long shot next, Thomas. I'm feeling like you on the show. Uracil Secret. Best race was its debut race, and then kind of went down the ladder after that. Maybe it's just one of those horses that needs time off between races, has some time off, and let's see if it can run back to its debut. And its debut, I feel like, would have been good enough to compete here. Number 1, Self Belief, is my third choice, as I'm going bombs away. His top performance, and again, not even remotely close to any other thing that the horse has put on paper, was his second start after layoff. Only managed to do that once before. And the first up really was good enough to compete with these. And then finally, number 8, Francophone. What? It can't be number 8. Where's that one at? Did it scratch? Did I got the wrong race? I have the wrong race. Number 4. I'm looking at the wrong one. And now I'm really confusing myself. Number 8. It's Wendell.
You're doing a good job.
I'm doing a great job of be really confident in my picks.
Successfully confused yourself. I think there's no question about that.
So looking at race number 5, looking at the numbers. No, number 8, Wendell is my fourth choice, and it is actually in this race as we see now. It's coming off a Group 3 win. I do know that according to Barry Meadows here in the United States, 3 consecutive speed figure increases in a row is what I call an alpha angle. They win at least 15%. I don't think he did the math over there in Europe, but I suspect it's still a worthy handicapping angle. And that horse is 8-1. So outside of the favorite, some shots for me in race number 4. Now, I was in a hurry to get to race number 5, apparently, Tom. So let's just skip forward to that one. So I can get out something in a coherent
You
form.
mean you don't want to run the predictor?
Ah, crap. I am losing my mind.
It's a short trip.
Yeah, it wasn't very long. I agree. All right. Let's look at the predictor before we move on. Well, this race doesn't look like it's going to be close. Bolster. None of us mentioned that one. So once again,
I did. That's my second choice.
Okay, Bolster. Good. I was going to say once again. So Bolster looks like it's an easy winner here, folks, followed by Self Belief. And then Chazami, Jan Brugel in its second start, maybe does have a little bit of a regression, according to the predictor. All right. I am having problems. All right, race 5, Tom. 1 mile, 2 furlongs again. It's again that same distance, one little distance. Where's 1 mile and 2 furlongs going to start? Back here. Going to come down here. You got that little bit of a sharp turnish in there, Tom. How does that turn impact things? Got to be inside there?
Preferably. But again, we're seeing the closers. So tuck in mid-pack. I don't see one coming from dead last to win, but maybe to hit the board. So that's the way I would look at it, and try to pick one of those middle horses, and that's what I did to close and get the money.
So who's going to get the money?
I'm going to take Luminary Blue as my top choice with draw 6. Last race was her first start of the season, and she raced against the males, and the winner was the top class White Birch.
Am I on the right race now again?
Cryptios in the last race. This is the Pretty Polly.
Pretty Polly, right?
Yeah.
So which horse is your horse?
Luminary Blue. Number 3.
Number 3. I have a Luminary Rock.
Oh, that's it. I'm sorry.
Right. I was thinking, all right.
Yeah, I'm trying.
I was thinking I have completely taken that trip.
Yeah, well, no. Let's try again. Luminary Rock, draw 6. Number 3. Ran against White Birch last time out, and yeah, no, didn't have a chance. And I again, the Gold Cup winner at Ascot was Cryptos, and that White Birch beat him. So that's a pretty good horse. Ran 6th in the Breeders' Cup. Philly and Meriteur for her last start last year. Obviously needed a run. I think this time she'll be in the winner's enclosure. The favorite is my next choice, number 1, Blue Stocking. She draw 3 she gets, and she's pretty good. She won at York in a grade 2 in a small field. And her last 2 races of the season, she was second twice, and she missed by a neck. So, don't think she's going to be tough in here? Yeah. But the thing is, of course, she's never won a grade 1, or group 1, I should say. But they're definitely got plenty of black type, and she's certainly got the form. And finally, I'm going to take number 6, Tasmania, with draw 8 as my final choice. This is her first start of the season, but she's had some really good efforts in France in the past, and one that was not so good. She won her maiden by a neck and finished the season winning a listed race. She also ran a really strong race in the Prix de Diane last year, and that usually is considered a top race in France. So she's run fresh before and won. I don't know why she couldn't do it again.
Well, once again, 21 horses now between you and I. We're up to 2, I believe, that we agree on. Not the first one. For me, at the top of my ticket, I'm going to go with number 2, Emily Upjohn, as my top choice in here. I believe this horse has the most upside in the race, and if it can run anywhere near that upside, I think it's worthy of its 5-2 odds. The one we do agree on is right above it, Blue Stocking, probably going to be the heavy favorite, I feel like, in this race. Coming off a very dominant win, similar performance would make it difficult for the rest of these to beat them. Number 5, Stay Alert. I went from the last race of being just one long shot after another to staying a little bit closer to form right here. This one did have a solid run at the Curragh, a grade 1 run on a good track, which is what we'll see tomorrow. His last race would have been a winner probably in this one too. And then finally, I jumped the shark a little bit, so to speak. Probably one of the most overused phrases now in the vernacular. But Francophone, this one's 33-1. I mentioned earlier today about the 3 consecutive increased speed figures. This one did the same thing. And it's run 6 times. And really, if you circle all those races, you can only put a line through one of them and say that was a dull effort. If we get a decent effort out of this one, maybe a Tom horse doesn't win, but a chance to increase the size of the payouts for your exactas, your omnis, your swingers, and whatever else they bet over there. So yeah, to answer your question, Abel, we do Tampa Bay Downs when it's in season. I've actually been down there, visited it with Jamie Martinez and Willie Martinez, the Breeders' Cup winning jockey. The folks at Tampa Bay Downs were wonderful while we were there. Really liked my time at that place on the backside with Pablo Morales. And God, I hate being old and can't remember. Forgive me. His agent. Oh, what in the heck is her name again? She was on our show, Tom. Do you remember? I can't believe I can't remember. It'll pop in my mind as soon as we put the end of the show up on the screen. Race. So we're done with Saturday, Tom, but not done with the predictor. I almost.
They're not done yet.
All right, so there we go.
Almost done.
Bam! Blue stocking. Hey, look at that. The one we agree on, Thomas, found its way to the winner's circle or winner's enclosure. Luminator Rocket. A rock. That's your top pick in that mix.
Yeah, I blew that one.
Yeah, not by much, though. Stay alert. Emily Upjohn. Hey, look at my long shot right in there. Francophone. I think the predictor is starting to understand my ways. We're going to move forward a day now to Sunday, starting.
One thing I did want to mention. There, a gentleman by the name of John Velasquez is riding there this weekend. He's on holiday. Interesting way to spend your holiday, huh?
Holiday for Velasquez. On a week, yeah. When is the 4th of July? It's on Thursday. Is that right?
Thursday, yes.
Mm-hmm. Maybe we should do something fun on Thursday. I don't know. Most likely just going to get out, get some sun and fun, and play around the golf and hop in the lake or something like that. Get some Ebola. All right. One 6 furlong race for the Gain Railway Stakes on Sunday at 2 p.m. at 1:40 local time. This one again, 6 furlongs. They're going to make this a little bit of a turn there. Tom says early in the day they've run on both sides of the track. Twice on the upper side, once on the lower side, producing winners. So it doesn't look like there's a bias. The only bias Tom sees so far on this Friday of racing is that front runners are tiring and it's opening the door to horses that come off the pace. So I imagine that's how you handicap this one too.
Yeah, and in those races so far, the pace has not been extraordinarily quick either. So that should tell you something also.
Mm-hmm.
What that's, I'm going to take number 6, the Striking Viking. With draw 6 is my top choice. It was a winner at York in the first start at 6 furlongs by 2 1/4 lengths. It was really a nice win because this was one of these horses that was bought in a breeze up for 65. Well, I'm going to say 1,000, but it's really euros. This is, obviously the horse got the experience with the breeze up, running on a track, and then came out and won right away. And I think it's going to win again. Number 1, Arizona Blaze is going to be the next choice with number 4, draw. Raced along the rail at Royal Ascot and ran 3rd. It was a good race. They placed him intentionally there on the near side, so it was an interesting way to go. He's won a Group 3 at the Curragh. He won his maiden on the heavy going. He was second to Whistle Jacket and Jack in one race, in a listed race. So he's got 4 race experiences, and he's done some solid trips. And I think he'll be running decently, and I think the turnaround is fine for him. Finally, I'm going to take number 7, Turnbridge Well, with draw 2. won his second start at the Curragh by 2 3/4 lengths. And he learned a lot from his first start because he dwelt at it and got into the race. He got second, then came on, and yeah, okay. This time around, when he won that race, he anticipated the start, so he actually broke very strongly out, and that means he obviously learned something. And I think he'll improve here, and he could be the favorite.
So after a Saturday of disagreement, we have a Sunday of almost complete agreement, starting with putting the striking Viking at the top of our tickets. Thomas, second race improvement for this one. It's one of the things I look for horses here when we do our Monday through Thursday shows, for horses making their second starts. Typically, you can add from 5 to 15 points onto their speed figure, 5 to 13, to get a sense of where that horse might peak and the next start. The striking Viking follows that same sort of rule. I think it should be good enough to compete at a decent price. Turnbridge Wells, you had a third, I got it second, Tom, in here. Probably going to be the favorite as well. If you look at the last race, it was a dominant win. I don't know how I'm reading everything else here. Strong run in his second start. Yes, another step forward would be enough. I have no idea what I'm doing today. Arizona Blaze, the one horse. I don't know why I keep skipping around. Like my screen's moving around on me or I'm not. But
no, somebody has hacked you.
Yeah, myself. It's called old age has hacked me. Arizona Blaze has a Group 3 win at the Curragh, just missed in a Group 2 at the Royal Ascot. I think the turnaround time, hopefully enough for this horse to get well. And then finally, the number 2 horse, Henry Matisse. Another horse where if it has any typical improvement in its second start, would absolutely put him in contention to win. I think I need some improvement in the next start for us as well, Tom. Our predictor says this will be a very tight race with Arizona Blaze right in the mix there. Turnbridge Wells as well as Henry Matisse really battling it out for second, with the Pantheon coming in perhaps fourth. So a lot of agreement in that one, Tom. A lot of agreement with us and the predictor as well. So I would suspect, unlike some of the races we saw on Saturday, at least race 2, you're probably going to see the odds reflect what the algorithm says, what the handicappers say, and maybe a formful race. Race number 4 on Sunday is the Dubai Duty Free Rockingham Handicap. We're going to see a 5 furlong race, just a little bit of a turn. I don't think that really impacts things much. Any 5 furlong?
The undulations do, the turn not so much.
Yeah. Any 5 furlonger so far today or no?
No, we're running 6, 7, and 7.
Any chance you think that cutting off 1 furlong could assist some of those front runners in this spot?
No, I don't say it. I would be surprised.
All right. So once again, Tom, probably focusing on horses that have a little bit of late legs versus early legs. Which legs would carry which horse home first?
I'm going to take number 14, Kendall Roy, with draw 3. He ran first 3 starts of his career. He lost by a combination of 43 lengths. Okay, then the light came on in the last race, 2023. He won by half a length. After his layoff, he came back, and he's won 3 times and ran second in the other race. To me, this is a 3-year-old who's obviously starting to figure it out. And with that, the distance, he's been deadly at this distance, and I think he's going to be very hard to beat this time, this race. Next one is going to be 3, Twilight Jet, with draw 2 is my next choice. His first race sucked very nicely. He showed speed, then dropped back with a furlong to go. So it's classic, needs a race. His second start was a little better. He missed by a neck and had a listed race at 5 furlongs. He's been running in better company, so this technically a little bit of a drop back. Possibly. He could win this, or he could just be in the money. And that's why I'm going to play him in the money. And finally, I'm going to take number 5. So Majestic with draw 17. Our first 3 starts against listed company at 5 furlongs. She ran third twice, and she was out of the money in her other race. She's going to drop back down to handicap level. I think that'll help her. But she hasn't won in a long time. So post position I'm not thrilled with, but I think she's good enough to hit the board, and that's where I'm playing her.
Well, we have some agreement again. All right, so I don't know how we both landed on the first one on top. Kendall Roy, I just basically wrote, if running times mean anything, Thomas, and there are those who say that they do and those who say they don't. But in this case, if they do, she does look like the fastest horse in this field. Number 8 is Little Queenie, my second choice in here, getting the second tip. A fast race last time out in the first race after some time in the barn. Resume says that a major move is possible in the second start off the sidelines. Number 10, Sturleson is my third choice in here. The last 2 races were very solid. I feel like either one of those 2 trips, or maybe a little bit better in the third start after a layoff, and you can mark this one down as a very strong contender. And then Twilight Jet, I think that's one that you like too. So we're in agreement on 2 of them. I have Twilight Jet in here. Peak. The only thing for me about Twilight Jet is that it ran a peak race last time out. By far its best effort. My question is regression coming, or is it a horse that's found a new level? And it looks like jockey John Velasquez and another race will answer that question for us. And then the predictor will also answer a question as my mind finally comes into focus. And I'm doing things in order and not messing up races or any of the above. And of course,
I see it.
Yes. He decides to go in a completely different way with Big Goosey at 33-1. So that's a pretty good one. And then you have Sturleson right there at 9-2. Shandy, Thunder Bear. That's a cool name for a horse. Little Queenie. And then, of course, Twilight Jet. I think, though, that last week at Ascot, Tom, to be honest with you, we kicked the predictor's ass.
Yeah.
All right, the last race for you and I is going to be race number 6 on Sunday. That one is the Dubai Duty Free Irish. Now, do they call it Derby there, or do they call it Derby there? I call it a Derby. Is it a Derby?
It is a Derby.
It's a Derby. All right. So no Derby there. That's reserved for the English.
Yeah.
All right. So we got a Derby in Ireland for the Irish Derby at 1.5 miles or 1 mile and 4 furlongs. Again, we're going to start down here. We're going to make that turn, as Thomas pointed out, over and over again at my request. The closers are the ones that have done the best. The longer the races are, too. In these European races, they all kind of work out that way anyhow. So we're going to look for closers in this long race again, Thomas. And in your view, who wins the Irish Derby?
I'm going to go with number 6, Matsui is my top choice. Draw 2. He's had 3 runs in his career, and he keeps improving. He started with 2 runs last season, and he got a second and a win. He won by a neck on the all-weather, a really strong effort. Then he returned at Leicestershire with an 8-length win. So he's actually looking like he's even getting better. And that trainer's comments was interesting. Reason he put him at the Curragh, he feels this is the best type of track for him to run at. And I'm going to give him a shot at a price. Number 1, Ambient Friendly is going to be my next choice. Draw 6. Really ran well at Lingfield before the Epsom Derby. And that showed, it showed how good that win was. He went off at 9-2. But then, of course, he ran into a horse by the name of City of Troy, and the rest is he lost by 2 3/4 lengths. But he beat everybody else. After that run, he should be the favorite in this race, I would think, and there is no City of Troy in this race. And finally, I'm going to take number 3, Grosvenor's Square with draw 1 is my final choice. Needed a race after that last one. I ran at Chester and ran third. It was a good race for him. He ran well as a 2-year-old. He got 2 wins and a third. This is a horse that wants distance. A lot of, I think, and again, maybe even farther than this. And I think having that race at Chester only will allow this horse to move forward. And that's why I'm putting him for third.
Again, we started off the show on Saturday. Tom and I just completely all over the place, and our horses, and me just all over the place mentally. But Sunday rolls through, the final race for you and I, the Duty-Free Irish Derby. We're on the same page, and I seem to have finally gotten on the right page. Matsuri is my top pick, too. I think maybe we're asking too much of this horse versus some of these. But when you look at the comment from its last effort, anytime you see the track note person, the track caller, put down rather impressive, that's what they see visually. I usually kind of hone in on those kind of comments, because a lot of times they're accurate. And if this horse is any better in its second career start, I don't know how it goes from what comes after rather impressive. Dominant, you think that's next up the line there, Tom, in the stock track notes?
Or blew them away. I don't know.
I feel like we're going to get a bounce back race from Los Angeles. Last time out, the horse got some softer footing and didn't look like it really cared for it at all.
But before it was defeated in that race, it had been running on all the softer, heavy tracks. So keep that in mind.
Yeah, but did have the 2 good efforts. He had a good track on there, and it was his best run. So I'm hoping that the footing is the answer there, because you're going to get better price on him. And when you look at the last race where he teamed up, where Ambient Friendly did actually beat him on the softer footing, they were pretty much rivals from the odds standpoint. So the bettors had essentially did point as Ambient Friendly being the better horse by about $1. So I think hopefully the footing can flip that dollar around at a little bit of a better price. And then I agree with you. Grosvenor Square, that one gets my 4th call. Now it's got 3 tips, the 2 most important tips coming from you and I. We'll see if the predictor agrees with us in a minute. But this horse has 2 runs over the Curragh course, and I feel like both of them were solid enough to compete, at least for a piece of the pie, and maybe at its best, upset them all. And let's find out to what degree the predictor agrees with you and I. Pow! Hey, look at that, Thomas. They feel like the Grosvenor Square is going to be the one that improves enough. And there's Los Angeles right in there getting the role reversal on Ambiente Friendly. Our Matsuri may be a little bit too much to ask. And then, of course, those backing Euphoric at 33-1, they'll feel just like the horse's name. I want to point something out, Tom. If we ever buy a horse as a group from the Horse Racing Today universe, I think you just came up with its name, Tom, to be honest with you, at a price. I think that'd be a great name for a horse. Do you actually show races? There are no races to show for us today. And unfortunately, licensing agreements won't allow us to show races beyond the virtual kind in here that we see with the predictor. I suppose we could, if I learned how to do the Adobe effects better, we can do our own races, but I don't have the time for that, unfortunately, Tom. Speaking of time, what do we have the time for next Friday and Foreign Friday?
We're going to go to Sandown.
Sandown.
And we'll be for the Ellipse, which City of Troy is scheduled to run.
All right. So that'll be next.
It's a race for 3-year-olds and upward. So we'll have an interesting group of older and the 3-year-old, maybe more than 1 3-year-old. We'll see. Have to see.
How do you guys play these races using omnis, or what question mark? So how do you play these races using omnis? That's just basically an omni is the horse to win, and then it can come in second or third, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get money for second and third too. So the top 3 positions each of those, 1-3, 1-2, 2-3, you get paid.
And how do you do it? You just pick 3 horses and that's it?
Generally just pick 3 horses, unless it's one of those super big fields. We just ran at the Curragh a mile and a quarter race, and the pace didn't hold up. Front runner didn't hold up, but they were not that far away either. And the stalkers were the ones that won this one.
Can we show the Curragh anywhere to watch it? So, Tom, where are you watching it right now? On the Keeneland?
You can watch it on the web, whatever betting site you use. Generally, will have it. I watch it on Naira, or whatever you can do Twin Spires or whatever option they have available to you. Also, on the TV, you may get to see it on FanDuel because they were running all the Royal Ascot stuff. Today I don't know. They're not running it, but they may be running, especially on Sunday, being the Irish Derby. They may be having it there, so you have to check the listings and see what it's available to you.
Yeah, it also depends on where you are in the world as well. So I know if you're south of the Texas border and you want to do, from what we've learned on our Monday through Thursday show, from plenty of our folks, our community that watch us from places like Venezuela, they mentioned GRTV, but you're going to have to look that up specifically for horse racing because there are some other options inside the United States with that same lettering structure. Outside the United States and outside of GRTV in South and Latin America, and I guess Mexico too, part of North America. But if you go over to Europe, if you're outside, perhaps you might want to look at something like Bet Us. I can never remember the name of the.
If you want, you can subscribe to racing.com and you'll get the race. You can get the races right there to watch. And the racing.com is a nonprofit channel that any profits it does make go back to racing.
And what does that cost a month?
I think it's like $20 roughly. The same group is available in Australia too. If you're interested in the racing down there.
And there's, I forget what's it, HRTV here in the United States too, but they license it as well. I tried to get them to work with us because 1,000,001 people ask us. I mean, I don't think there's a show that goes by where we don't get asked, where can I watch the races? And
it seems that way.
And, again, the best thing you can do is open an account somewhere where you can place bets. Most of them don't require you to make bets. Just open your account, keep it open and active, and they will allow for you to watch the races free of charge. That would be my advice. And if there's some bet minimum to watch the races, maybe it'll be $10 a month or something like that. Just make the $10 in bets, follow our show. Hopefully you win a few, whether you believe in me or Tom or the predictor. Maybe one of them will prove to be right.
Or you ignore our complete picks completely and go off on your own and make.
Yeah, just cross everything we say in the predictor off, and whatever's left, those are the ones you should play. You probably win the most that way. Again, Tom and I will be back next Friday, as he mentioned. We will be at Sandown. Terry and I will be back next week, Monday and Tuesday at Parks, Wednesday at Churchill Downs. Up in the air if we will do anything on the 4th of July. The best way to know what we're going to do, if you haven't done so already, is wherever you're watching right now, hit the subscribe button, hit the share button, forward our content to other folks who are interested in becoming degenerate horse players like Thomas and I. But when you win enough, it's worthwhile, the degeneracy.
Or as David Feldman used to say, broken down horse players.
Yes, and he's the old Chicago Sun-Times handicapper, for those of you who are not familiar with David Feldman, who did a good job of picking horses. I always liked his
he did a very good job. He would hit at almost a 30% rate and a lot of times. He was very good at Hawthorne.
Indeed, I remember him. God rest his soul. All right, folks, thanks for joining us for this Foreign Friday. Of course, our picks will be available on YouTube. I will timestamp every race so you can come back and watch each one individually on Saturday and Sunday. Catch Tom's thoughts, my thoughts, the predictors' predictions, and then I'll post it all over on horseracingtoday.net. A little bit later on this evening. Got some stuff to do during the rest of this day. And then, again, guaranteed tip sheet, link in the description below. Kindly get your free picks there. I will go out and make sure that, as I mentioned, Penn National is free later on in the day. And then while you're
sort of right now, it isn't.
But it will be. I promise you that I have some control over. And then while you're at looking at the horseracingtoday.net recap of everything Tom and I talked about, including our notes, please hit that HRT link right here for gear. Get yourself a Horse Racing Today hoodie so that you can wear it comfortably in 62-degree days in June, almost July, in Chicago, when last week it was 1,008 degrees out.
And that was in your basement only, right?
Yeah, well, I live in the dungeon constantly, so it's always cold down here.
Yeah.
All right, that wraps it up. Tom, any words of wisdom before we get out of here?
Enjoy the racing this weekend. There's also some big races in France, and those are well worth a look at on Sundays. And and Newmarket is running right now, so you can take a look at that too if you like to watch the racing on the either slight curve horse or straightaway, up and down and around. And we're on the July course at this point in the season.
And then, of course, tomorrow, Churchill Downs, a stacked card, including the Stephen Foster. As always, we'll have our thoughts and picks over at Guaranteed Tip Sheet. All right, folks, no matter what you're doing for the rest of this week, whether it's Newmarket, it's trying to figure out where you're at, like I did for the first part of the day's card, Saturday, Sunday at the Curragh, just relaxing on this weekend, getting prepped for all the good fun on July 4th. We certainly hope that you have God's grace, God's favor. And Tom, everything ends up in
enclosure.
Indeed.
And you don't want to be in that second spot. You want to be in the winner's enclosure.
Yeah, like Ricky Bobby said, if you ain't first, you're last. Have a great weekend.